All right, so for today, or a new topic, we're going to be looking at polynomials. We're going to introduce polynomials. We're going to start from the basics, looking at monomials, binomials, trinomials, to polynomials. And then after that, we'll do some exercises and stuff. So our learning intention, today we're only focusing on adding and subtracting polynomials. And our success criteria says that you'll be successful when you have mastered the art of combining like terms, but also simplifying like terms. Okay, so let me pull up my whiteboard. And so first of all, I want to go through some of the terminologies that we're going to use while we're doing polynomials. The first one that I want to look at is a term. All right, and we're going to put it as a term is a number or variable, or the product of both a number and a variable. Okay, let me change the color for this because why not? For example, por ejemplo, we could look at 3x. That's a term. That together is a term. Or 3, or 8, or z, or y. All that is a term, all right? Let's look at our other definition, monomial. And a monomial is referred to as the product of a variable, product of variables, sorry, or a real number. And some examples of that includes 5x, okay? Or say negative 3a squared b squared, or 1/5. And you'll get what I'm saying when I start introducing the other ones. So each of these are terms. Each of these monomials, they are terms. But these are monomials because it's just one term, okay? So if we look at the other one, I was gonna look at binomial, but binomial is basically two terms together. All right, so let's look at monomials. Monomials talk about a monomial or sum of monomials. Por ejemplo, let's put example here. Example here. EG is my shortening for example. So if I have 5x squared plus 3x minus 4, that right there is a polynomial because it includes several monomials, or it's the sum or subtraction of several different monomials. All right. An example of a, I'm just going to put it over here, a binomial. Example of a binomial would be 5x plus 2. And it's a binomial because it has two terms. All right. A polynomial has more than two. This right here is also considered a trinomial, because it has three terms. After trinomial, people just say polynomial, all right? But if you really think about it, all monomials and all binomials and all trinomials, all of them are polynomials, all right? So all of these could be identified as polynomials, and they're made up of terms. They're made up of terms, all right? Let me pause. The next thing we're going to look at is degree. The degree talks about the number of a variable in a specific term. Basically the exponent. So if I say, it's not changing. Oh, if I say 4x squared y cubed, that's one term. Then my other term is minus 12x cubed. Then my other term is 24xy. And then my other term is x, and then my other term is negative 15. All these are terms. If I change these commas to plus signs or minus signs, then it becomes a polynomial, all right? Because then I'm adding in the sum or the subtraction, which would make it a polynomial. Okay, but if I'm looking at degree, I'm looking at this term right here, all right? I should say this. If I change the commas to plus or minus signs, they're polynomials. As they are right now, they're all monomials because they're just by themselves, one term by itself. To find the degree of this, I just add them. So this has a degree of 5. Let's change the color. I add the exponent. This has a degree of 5. This has a degree of 3. Technically, there are ones right here, but I don't need to put it. So this has a degree of 2. There's also a 1 right here. So this has a degree of 1. This right here, it doesn't even have an x value. So it has a degree of 0. So we're talking about degree. We're talking about the exponent. So if I have a polynomial or a term, I see that term, and in order to figure out what the degree is, I add up all the exponents. All right. Normally, the next we're going to talk about, normally the leading term, people call it the leading term, is generally the term with the highest degree. So if I was supposed to change this to a polynomial by putting plus signs in between them, this one right here where it says 4x squared y cubed, that would be my leading term because it has the highest degree. Leading term means it comes first. Okay? Coefficient. The number that is part of the term. Coefficient normally talks about the number that is part of the term. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to circle the coefficients. 4 is a coefficient. It's the number that's part of the term. Negative 12 is a coefficient. 24 is a coefficient. Oh, glory. So right here, there's an imaginary 1 right here. So 1 would be a coefficient. And with this one, negative 15 would be a coefficient. Got it? So that's what they talk about. We're talking about coefficient, leading term, the degree, and all that stuff. And this is terminology that I'll continue to use. So you'll get used to it just because that's what I'm going to be saying. The next thing we should also recognize when we're putting terms together to make a polynomial, they're normally in descending order. So whenever I'm going to change this to a polynomial by putting in plus signs instead of the comma, we're going to put plus signs. So generally, they're in order of degree, descending order based off their degree. That's why this one goes down. So generally, a polynomial, the degree order goes down. That's basically just an introduction to polynomials. We'll do some more on this, so you'll get used to it.